Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our next live session. I'll be your producer for our session, but before we start, I do have some quick housekeeping. Please take a moment to read our code of conduct. We seek to provide a respectful environment for both our audience and presenters. While we absolutely encourage engagement in the chat, we ask that you please be mindful of your commentary, remain professional and on topic. Keep an eye on that chat. We'll be dropping helpful links and checking for questions for our presenters to answer. Our session is being recorded. It will be available to view on demand right here on the Microsoft Reactor channel. With that, I'll turn it over to our speaker for today. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, everyone. I, Amit Chandak, welcome you to this session. Hope you are enjoying all the session in this series. And this session is part of the Fabric Fundamental series, where we are focusing on real skills that you need to success in your exams, which is DP-600 in this case. But yes, concept will also work out for DP-700. But yes, also you need to have some experience in real-time projects to pass these exams. My name is Amit Chandak, and I'm a data platform MVP and Power BI community super user, and you can connect me on LinkedIn and Twitter with these handles. I'm joined with my fellow MVP, and I ask Edgar to introduce him.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining, for your time. My name is Ilgar Zarbaliev. I'm Microsoft Data Platform MVP, and with Amit today, we'll be guiding you through today's session with both exam relevance and hands-on perspective in mind. I'm available on LinkedIn and Twitter, so you can connect me with me there. Go on.
Also, we have moderators with us, 3 moderators with us, Wes, Sahani, and Nandan, who's going to help you out in the chat windows. If you have some questions, please feel free to post your question into the chat window. Please do not post any questions about the vouchers, especially if you're facing some challenges using that. We have already given a link on the top, so please avoid that question. But yes, anything related to Microsoft Fabric and today's session, please feel free to post into the chat. With that, we move forward. And what's happening this February? So we have a lot of sessions. So Microsoft content is actually evolving really fast, and these monthly events will help you. So Fabric Data Days runs in multiple time zones and are available on demand, making them great online learning resources. So today on 11th Feb, we are running this session, Get Certified DP-600 Exploring Data Warehouse. We will be back on 18th and 19th with another session on Semantic Model and Power BI, and followed up session on 24th, 25th. So do not miss out. Please register for these events, and you can also find all these sessions on Microsoft Reactor in live session. If you want to know more about this, you can scan this code and you will be able to get our next monthly session, which is on 24th, coding languages, super similarity, dazzling differences, and awesome advantages. So please go ahead and scan this code, jump to see why having a lot of languages is super cool for making these ideas become true, and might through discussion in about AI, who knows, got to see up. Let's move next. And we also have Fabric Analyst in a day. What is this Fabric Analyst in a day? So we try to give you hands-on exercise and workshop where you will be having an instructor-led training, and you will have 6 hours of content where you would be doing it with the instructor, repeating everything what instructor does, and Microsoft partners take out these events. So if you want to know more about Fabric Analyst in Day, please go to https aka.ms next FAIAD. So please try to take the full advantage of this event. Now, how to get DP-600 and 700 certified for free? If you want to get the voucher, the link is already shared in the chat, but you can also get it using aka.ms FabSet 2026. These are only limited number of vouchers which are available. So if you wanted to apply it quickly before the we are running out of the vouchers. Okay, so hope all of you are aware that FabCon is going to come, and so to explain more details about Fabric Conference, I like ask my fellow MVP Edgar to take over. Edgar?
Yes, next slide, please.
Okay. Yeah.
So here is the agenda for today. We will walk through a full life cycle of Fabric data warehouse, from creation, data loading, to querying, monitoring, and securing your environment. Everything we cover today maps directly to DP-600 exam objectives. Next slide, please. And this is a live session, so please say hello in the chat, ask questions, and share your thoughts. Engaging during the session will help reinforce your understanding. Amit?
So yes, let's get started with warehouse in Microsoft Fabric. I'm sure most of you are aware of what is Microsoft Fabric. It's a single unified data platform based on One Lake platform. So Microsoft Fabric's data warehouse is a modern version of traditional warehouse. It's centralized and organized from different departments, systems, and databases into single unified analysis for reporting purpose. Fabric data warehouse is full SQL. T-SQL is supported here. SQL Semantic include ability to insert, update, and delete data in tables using T-SQL. Fabric data warehouse is unique because it's built on Lakehouse, which store data in data format and can be queried using SQL, T-SQL in this case. It is designed for use by the whole data team, not just the data engineer. So what happens in Microsoft Fabric, as you are aware, that everything which we save, which is specifically structured data, is saved in data format. But what we call Microsoft Fabric Warehouse is T-SQL managed, because you can read and write both using T-SQL. While in Lakehouses, you still can read using T-SQL, you cannot write using T-SQL. You need to use PySpark or Spark SQL or Scala for that, or you are writing via Dataflow Gen2 or data pipelines. So here we have full T-SQL support, and those of you who has used it in little past, just few months back, we also got the identity column support. So some of you are looking for that. That is also supported. Now we are going to cover some data warehouse fundamentals here. So basically, what is this entire process that happens in Microsoft Fabric? So we have this data ingestion. So where we are going to bring in the data from various sources. Now, to bring in the data, we are going to use a different set of mechanism, like whether it's going to come from data pipeline or Dataflow Gen2. We have 200 plus sources from where we can bring in the data. So we are going to move the data from the source system into the warehouse. Then data storage means we are going to store the data here in Microsoft Fabric, and here we are going to use warehouse. Now for data processing, when you're using warehouse, T-SQL is your choice. You're going to create procedure, transform that data, and make it ready for analysis. And making it ready for analysis means we are going to create some kind of star schema or snowflake schema. And once that is done, we are going to make it ready for analysis. And how we are going to make it? We are going to create semantic model on top of it. And most of the warehouse UIs, you will get Copilot. It means you can just ask what you wanted to write in simple English language or your own language, and then you will get that SQL queries which are written by the Copilot. So in that manner, you will not need to know exact syntax. The Copilot is going to help you out. Now, to understand more about Fabric Warehouse, it's a relational data warehouse that supports full transactional T-SQL capabilities. But don't think it's still at OLTP system. It's still an OLAP system. If you want a OLTP system, we have SQLDB. You are expected from a data warehouse, whatever you are expected from data, it's a fully managed, scalable, high available data warehouse that can be used to store and query data from the underlying source, which is warehouse or lakehouse. Now, if you are in a warehouse and you want to query the lakehouse data, you can give the fully qualified name within the same workspace, and you will be able to query that data. Now, the entire data, whether it's a warehouse or lakehouse, finally is going to go and save into Delta Parquet format. And then there is a folder structure because of your warehouse, your workspace, then your warehouse schemas and everything. So we are going to save it down there on one lake. Everything in Fabric is going to save on one lake. Now, how do we create data warehouse in Microsoft Fabric? So for that, I'm going to do one thing. I'm going to show you how to create exactly. So let me showcase you how to do that. So hope my screen is now having a workspace open. So in your workspace, you need to have a Microsoft Fabric workspace. Means in the setting, in the license info, you should be able to see that you are using a Fabric capacity here. So Microsoft Fabric always need a capacity. It is not license based. You need to have capacity. So I'm using a trial here. Then you click on new item on the left top. You have an option here. And once you click on that, you can either scroll down inside the data store, or you can search also on the top. So store data, and you have so many options. I just scroll down to showcase you that we have so many options now available here, and you're going to click on warehouse. Once you click on the warehouse, you need to give the name there. I'm going to give it wh-demo-02 and click on create. And it's going to create the warehouse. So now you know how to create. So you have to go to workspace, select new item, warehouse name, and you will be able to create it. Now, let's talk about some data warehousing concept. And when I say, so you have to understand, when we are saying warehouse, we have something also known as data warehousing, which is basically a concept where we talk about fact tables and dimension table. And the typical in our data warehousing, we also call that place where we store is warehouse. Now, in Fabric world, your warehouse could be a lakehouse also, because lakehouse can also do the same job. It can store fact tables and dimension table. So what are the fact tables? So fact tables are basically truth about your organization. They actually contain the measurable data for your performance. It's typically the numeric data like sales quantity, sales amount, discount, purchase amount. These things are there. And then they have the primary keys for the references against which I need to analyze the data. So I have the data which I want to analyze, and I'm going to analyze it against something. And that something is nothing but the properties or the master, or what we call in data warehousing term dimensions. So we are going to measure the performance against something, and that is dimensions. And dimension tables typically contain categorical data. They have a key in Microsoft Fabric warehouses, or in warehouses we call that key a surrogate key, because that is created here as a single primary key. Even if you are having multiple column primary key in your source, you are going to create here a single column key, and that surrogate key. And identity column in Microsoft Fabric warehouse is going to help you in create such surrogate keys. Now, all those surrogate keys of dimension will get populated in the fact table, and this entire process of generating a fact tables and dimension table is what we call ETL or ELT, extract, transform, and load, or extract, load, and transform. So using in that process, and that process now we have, bronze layer where you got your sources data, then you clean it up, you got silver layer, and then you get the final gold layer, which should be your warehouse. And on top of that, you are going to create the semantic model. Now, there are some special type of dimensions. Time dimension that provides the information about the time period on which the event occur. Now, you can create time dimension in various ways. Now, if you like SQL, I have on my Medium blog, I do have a code which I think you can find out. I'll share that little later. And then if you love DAX, you have the date table concept, because even though Microsoft Fabric has these direct lake models, we still are allowed to have the calculated table, and now even import mode tables inside that schema, so you can get a date table. Then we have a concept of slowly changing dimension, and this dimension is basically the dimension which tracks the changes over attributes over a period of time. And then there are different kind of slowly changing dimension which we are going to discuss. So data warehousing, we typically prefer dimensional schema. There are two type of dimensional schema. So the first dimensional schema which we use is basically snowflake schema, and the second one is star schema. So star schema is one which we prefer in any warehousing. Now star schema is not a normalized schema, it is denormalized. It's having duplication of data, because what happens, all your, we don't have a join between two facts, we don't have join between two dimensions. So let's say I have item table, or let's say product table. Now in my OLTP system, the product table would not be product table. I have a product table which has product key and name. Then I might have a brand table whose ID is available in the product dimension. Then I could have a category table which contains subcategory, category, and these could be two tables. But when we come into a warehouse, we combine all of them into one single table, that is DIM product. So the concept here is two facts should not join, two dimensions should not join. Let's fact sales could be a combination of sales header, sales detail, and further sales attribute tables. So our best choice is Snowflake's best choice is star schema, and we can also create Snowflake schema. Sometime when you try to use RLS, you also need to have a table, and in that case, most of the time you will end up having a table which is basically creating it like a Snowflake schema. Now, how we are going to ingest the data into the warehouse? As you know, there are various ways. One of the very common way is Fabric pipelines. In Fabric pipelines, you have copy data activity, and you have copy job, which also now available inside the data pipeline. Both using that, you can insert the data into warehouse. Warehouse is the destination. There are 40 plus odd sources which pipeline copy activity supports. Fabric Dataflow Gen2, if you are aware that we used to have Dataflow in Power BI world, and the enhanced version is Dataflow Gen2, and that Dataflow Gen2 has more than 200 plus connector from various sources. You can have it. Then we have cross database querying, like you give the fully qualified name within your workspace. If you have permission, you can do that. And then there is a copy into command, like if you have some place your file where you can have access, you can do that. But remember one thing, very recently PySpark is also being supported, PySpark Scala, and if you are able to connect to your sources using your notebooks with the recent enhancements of connection, you will be also be able to use PySpark to save your tables onto the Fabric. It's not T-SQL notebooks, it's the PySpark notebook also can do the job for you. It came few months back, and you have some functions using which. So notebooks is also one of the way you can ingest data into the warehouse. You can use the connectors of Python to get the data in that case. Now, cloning table means you want to duplicate. Okay, so you can create zero copy clone. What is zero copy clone? Zero copy clone means you create a clone, but it does not have data. That's what we call zero copy clone. So because we have delta parquet files and they maintain a history, we have a history of 30 days. But what would happen after 30 days? It will go away. So we can create clone, and that clone will remain even after 30 days. So that's why we create these clone tables or zero copy clone tables. Typically, the delta files store 30 days of your history, means they will keep the 30 days of history, and beyond that, if you need, you can use clone tables. So clone, what does it going to help? Clone tables allow developers and testers to create copies of the table in lower environment, facilitating double development, debugging, testing, and validation process. Even for data recovery, it can help. And by default, we have the time travel, which is available. Time travel and clone both can help in historical reporting. So let's say you ran one update today and you want to know what is your data in the past. So you have the command timestamp as of, and you can give the time and you can get the data in that particular moment of time. So that's what we call time travel, means we can look into the past. Let's say you deleted the data. What was my data before deletion? So it doesn't pass 30 days, you will be able to see that. Then we have T-SQL, then we will definitely have a query editor. So we have the query editor, which is available on Microsoft Fabric. Other than that, you can connect to SQL Server Management Studio or Azure Data Studio, which can also help you in writing down your queries. and there are IntelliSense, code completion, syntax highlighting, which are available. Other than that, we have Copilot, and Copilot you need a paid capacity. You can't run it on trial, and that will also help you in writing down your SQL queries. We have something really good here, visual query. Now, visual query, if you remember, you will be given, and I can actually take one quick example here. Hopefully, if I have data. So I need to go, and then so for data, if you don't have, you have this sample data where you can click and get, and this is really good data. There is around a factor of 50 million rows which you can use. So let me see if I can show you quickly how to write down the query, visual query. So new query, new visual query, and once you have the new visual query, you can drag the tables, and then if you want to join, you can drag another table, and then you can try to join them. Well, let's say you can say merge queries as new, all those you can do, and you can join and get the results. So in this manner, you can create visual queries. I think I should be able to. So in this manner, you can do it. So you don't have to know all the stuff. So there are options like manage column, filter rows, replace queries, group by, and more. So typically you will be able to do just like you were doing in Power Query. You would be able to do those operations, and you can get a SQL for that instead of the Power Query code, and you will be able to know the SQL. So if you don't know T-SQL, no worries. You can use Visual, you can use Copilot. Now, why we are doing this entire exercise of creating warehouse or a lake house or anything, why we are doing this? The final objective is that we are going to build some kind of reports. So what we are going to do is we are going to create semantic model, and using those semantic model, we are going to have we're going to create the relationship. We do talk about model layout. This model layout is now only available when you create the new semantic model. So in Microsoft Fabric, there used to be something known as default semantic model, which we have discontinued. Now, anytime you wanted to create a semantic model, you have to use new semantic model option here, and you have to create a new semantic model. There is no default semantic model available now. So using this, you should be able to have your tables, give a name, and create semantic model. In the semantic model, you can hide your columns, create measures, create relationship, all those stuff you can do, like say demo -001, and then you can click on save button. So I'm not able to see my back screen. Confirm button, and you can go it. So while it is saving, we'll jump back onto the slides. So you have to create the custom semantic model. Then if you want to visualize the data, once you have the semantic model has an option, create report, and using that you can also create a report and visualize your data on Power BI, your favorite tool. And that's, I think, very that would be covered in details in Power BI section, Power BI semantic model section. So I'm going to skip this, showing you how to create a report. Now, various security options. Now, while we have this one-leg security, also semantic level security, database itself has their own RABC, role-based security access control, which you can use. It means you should be able to control the data at row level. All the Microsoft Fabric data are encrypted when they are saved, encrypted they are in transit. SSL encryption has been used. Azure storage service encryption, we have to protect the data in transit at rest. Azure Monitor and Azure Log Analytics to monitor your warehouse activities and audit access to data, and multi-factor authentication to add extra layer of security to your user account. So means when you wanted to use your account, you have to use that additional security multi-factor, then only you will be able to add. And Microsoft Entra integration to manage the users and identity to access the warehouse environment. So typically your login which you use in your Microsoft Fabric or Power BI world, that's your Microsoft Entra, and it works across the entire Azure ecosystem, which you can use to query your data or enter into the Microsoft Fabric system. So these are all securities also available for Microsoft Fabric Warehouse. Then we have workspace level and item level permissions. Now, anyway, whatever we are going to have like data, now data, we know it's rest it is secure, in transit it is secured. But once you come inside the system, you might have access, and that is something we have to control. So we can do the control at the workspace level, which these days I recommend pretty less. I always recommend that in Microsoft Fabric, prefer item level controls than the workspace level control, because if you are workspace admin, you have access to everything. Contributor, you can create app, but you have access to look at the data and everything. Member, you can still look at the data, and viewer, you can only view the data. But for the warehouse and semantic model, we have item level specific control, like read data, read all data, and then edit and all those permissions. So always advisable in Microsoft Fabric, use item level permissions, and then it would be a little better for anyone to control the data what we are seeing. Because let's say if you have report in the same workspace and you want to give a viewer permission, I am giving permission to all the objects. So we will give workspace report permission, let's say semantic model read only, and then report we can publish via app and can give permission on app. So in that manner, we'll now use item level permissions more often. And now let's hear from Agar.
Okay, now let's talk about loading data into a Microsoft Fabric data warehouse. Microsoft Fabric Data Warehouse is a complete platform for data analytics and artificial intelligence. It refers to the process of storing, organizing, and managing large volumes of structured and semi-structured data. And data warehouse in Microsoft Fabric is powered up with Synapse Analytics by offering a rich set of features that make it easier to manage and analyze data. It includes advanced query processing capabilities and supports the full transactional T-SQL capabilities like an enterprise data warehouse. Unlike a dedicated SQL pool in Synapse Analytics, a warehouse in Microsoft Fabric is centered around a single data lake. The data in the Microsoft Fabric warehouse is stored in the Parquet file format. And this setup allows users to focus on tasks such as data preparation, analysis, and reporting. It takes advantage of SQL Engine's extensive capabilities, where a unique copy of their data is stored in Microsoft Lake. Now, next slide, please. ETL provides the foundation of data analytics and data warehouse work streams. Let's review some aspects of data manipulation in an ETL process. Data extraction involves connecting to the source system and collecting necessary data for analytical processing. Data transformation involves a series of steps performed on the extracted data to convert it into a standard format. Combining data from different tables, cleaning data, deduplicating data, and performing data validations. Data loading, the extracted and transformed data are loaded into the fact and dimension tables. For an incremental load, this involves periodically applying ongoing changes as per requirement. And this process often involves reformatting the data to ensure its quality and compatibility with the data warehouse schema. Once the data is loaded, certain optimizations can be performed to enhance the performance of the data warehouse. Next slide, please. And you might have to build and work with auxiliary objects involved in a load operation, such as tables, stored procedures, and functions. These auxiliary objects are commonly known as staging. Staging objects act as temporary storage and transformation areas, and they can either share resources with the data warehouse or reside in their own storage area. Staging serves as an abstraction layer, simplifying and facilitating the load operation to the final tables in the data warehouse. Next slide, please. And there are Two types of data loads to consider when loading a data warehouse: full load and incremental load. Full load is the process of populating the data warehouse for the first time. It may take longer to complete due to amount of data being handled. And this method is typically used when setting up a new data warehouse or when a complete refresh of the data is required. Regarding incremental load, this is the process of updating the data warehouse with the changes since the last update. And it takes less time than the initial load. And this method is commonly used for regular updates to the data warehouse, such as daily or hourly updates. And it requires mechanisms to track changes in the source data since the last load. Next one, please. In a data warehouse, both surrogate keys and business keys are essential for effective data warehousing and data integration, but they serve different purposes. A surrogate key is a system-generated identifier that is used to uniquely identify a record in a table within the data warehouse. And it has no business meaning and is typically an integer or, say, a unique identifier. Regarding business key, this is also known as a natural key and is an identifier that comes from the source system and has business meaning. And it's used to uniquely identify a record in the source system. Examples of business keys include product codes, customer IDs, and employee numbers. Business keys are important for maintaining traceability between the data warehouse and the source system. They also help to ensure that data in the warehouse can be accurately matched to the corresponding records in the source system. Regarding slowly changing dimension types and dimension types, think of a dimension table as the who, what, where, when, and why of your data warehouse. It's like the descriptive backdrop that gives context to the raw numbers found in the fact tables. For example, if you are running an online store, your fact table might contain the raw sales data, how many units of each product were sold. But without a dimension table, you wouldn't know who bought those products, when they were bought, or where the buyer is located. Now, while dimensions provide context, an important question arises. What happens when that context changes over time? And this leads us to the concept of slowly changing dimensions. And slowly changing dimensions change over time, but at a slow pace and unpredictably. For example, a customer's address in a retail business. When a customer moves, their address changes. If you overwrite the old address with the new one, you lose the history. But if you want to analyze historical sales data, you might need to know where the customer lived at the time of each sale. There are several types of slowly changing dimensions in a data warehouse, with type 1 and type 2 being the most frequently used. Type 1, slowly changing dimension, overrides existing data, doesn't keep history, while type 2 adds new records for changes, keeps full history for a given natural key. Next slide, please. Microsoft Fabric's warehouse provides integrated data ingestion tools, enabling users to load and ingest data into warehouses on a large scale through either coding or non-coding experiences. Data Pipeline is the cloud-based service for data integration, which enables the creation of workflows for data movement and data transformation at scale. You can create and schedule data pipelines that can ingest and load data from disparate data stores. You can build complex ETL or ELT processes that transform data visually with data flows. Most of the functionality of data pipelines in Microsoft Fabric comes from Azure Data Factory, allowing for seamless integration and utilization of its features within the Microsoft Fabric ecosystem. Okay, the Copy Data Assistant provides a step-by-step interface that facilitates the configuration of a copy data task. After you copy the data, you can use other tasks to further transform and analyze it. So you can also use the copy data task to publish transformation and analysis results for business intelligence and application consumption. Next slide, please. You can use data flows in data pipelines to ingest data into a lakehouse or warehouse, or to define a data set for a Power BI report. Dataflow Gen2 is the new generation of data flows. It provides a comprehensive Power Query experience, guiding you through each step of importing data into your workflow, data flow. And the process of creating data flows has been simplified, reducing the number of steps involved. Copilot can be a valuable tool for assisting with data flow transformations. Let's say we have a gender column that contains male and female, and we want to transform it. The first step is to activate Copilot within your data flow. Once that's done, you can then provide specific instructions on the transformation you want to perform. And Copilot adds a new step automatically, and you can always revert it if you want, or continue to build on it for further transformations. Now, about query a data warehouse in Microsoft Fabric. The process of querying a data warehouse is a key component of business intelligence. It involves the extraction and manipulation of the data stored in a data warehouse, allowing users to extract valuable insights from large volumes of data. And once the dimension and fact tables in data warehouse are populated, you can use T-SQL to query these tables and perform data analysis. The T-SQL syntax used for querying tables in a warehouse in Fabric closely resembles the SQL syntax used in SQL Server or Azure SQL database. And this familiarity allows for an easy transition for those already used to working with these platforms. Then your query results can be exported as an Excel file. To export it, select Download Excel file. You need to select the text of one select statement in your query to export results to Excel. Similarly, the query editor offers the ability to save your highlighted query as either a view or a table, each with distinct features. One of the features is Save as View. This is allowing you to create a view in the warehouse using the select statement highlighted in the query editor. And the other feature, so-called Save as Table, creates a new table with your query results. For both options, you must provide the schema and the name before confirming the creation. The Visual Query Editor in Microsoft Fabric Data Warehouse is a tool that provides an intuitive interface for building SQL queries. It simplifies the process of writing and managing queries, especially for those who might not be comfortable with SQL syntax. The editor provides a graphical interface where you can drag and drop tables and visually design your queries. And this makes it easier to understand the structure of your query and the relationships between tables. As you design your query using the visual interface, the corresponding SQL query is automatically generated. And this allows you to focus on the logic of your query rather than the syntax. All Workspace users can save their queries in My Queries folder. And you can, using SQL Server Management Studio to connect to a data warehouse in Fabric can facilitate your workflow, especially if you are already familiar with this tool. SQL Server Management Studio provides a familiar interface for those who regularly work with SQL Server.
So next is monitor the warehouse in Microsoft Fabric. So a warehouse is often a central to enterprise analysis and reporting, and such a critical business asset. It's important to monitor the data warehouse to track and manage costs, identify and resolve query performance to gain insights how your data being used. So for that we have monitor capacity matrices app. So Fabric capacity matrices app, and this is available under the apps. So you can go ahead and search for this app and install it. And once you install this app, you will be able to see various matrices. Like you will be able to manage and monitor your workload. You get the whether your capacity is throttling, or all these stats are available. So by using the Microsoft Fabric Capacity app, you can observe capacity utilization trend to determine what processes are consuming compute units, CUs, what we call, in Microsoft Fabric environment, and whether there is any throttling is occurring, which indicates that your process require more capacity than it is available within the constraint of your purchase capacity license. With this information, you can optimize your capacity license and your needs. So if your capacity is running, let's say, above 50% throughout, or it is touching those your operations, typically the interactive operations are touching 100%, it means you need to go upgrade your capacity. Also, you should be able to see the tasks which are consuming. So maybe they are not optimized. So you go ahead and optimize your those tasks or procedures or functions and see that are they performing up to the mark, or they are performing up to the mark, you need additional capacity. Then what are the various warehouse operations which you are going to see? So one is warehouse query, SQL Analytics endpoint, and one-lake compute. By using Fabric Capacity Matrix app, you can observe the capacity utilization trend to determine what processes are consuming CUs in your Fabric environment. And both warehouse and SQL Analytics endpoint roll up under warehouse in Matrix app. So both of them would be roll up in Matrix app. They are both use SQL computes. The operations can be categorized and seen in views as warehouse queries, compute all the charges user generated and system generated T-SQL statement within a warehouse, and SQL Analytics endpoint query, compute all the charges from all the user generated and system generated T-SQL within T-SQL Analytics endpoint. And one-lake compute all the charges for read and write to the data warehouse. Now, time point explore means at a particular time, if you see here, there is a spike going on. There is a interactive operation which is crossed. Now, how would you know that what is happening in this point in time? What are those operations which are running? So what you can do is, if you right click here, you will get a drill report. So the graph in the Microsoft Fabric Capacity app showing utilization of resources computed of the capacity purchase. 100% utilization represents the full throughput of the capacity SKU and the shared by all the Fabric experience. This is represented by the yellow dotted line, the line which you see, the 100% line. Selecting a specific point in time, graph enables you to explore the button which opens up on the detail throughout drill through page. So drill through page two ways. You click on a point, then there is a button appear which allows you, or you right click and do it. And once you do that, you will be able to see which operations were running at that particular point in time, and you should be able to take some action on that. What are the considerations we should use? Cross database querying is reported against the resource initiating the T-SQL query, joining the multiple warehouse or the warehouse and the SQL Analytics endpoint. System catalog and dynamic management view queries are billable. The durations in the field in Fabric metric capacity app reflecting statement execution time is information and not include full result rendering time of web and client application. Means basically it's a charge of the warehouse. It doesn't mean that, let's say you have a slow network, then the time which your network might have taken to bring that is not available here. So maybe the query is already executed and you are seeing that that time is not included. Other than this capacity app, we also have the uh, chargeback app, which is also good, and that gives you, every operation level or every warehouse level, item level details, that how much that is consuming. That can also help you out. So Microsoft Fabric Warehouse is a complete platform for data analytics and AI artificial intelligence. It refers to the process of storing, analyzing, and managing large volume of data for structured and semi-structured data. And I can tell you, we have implemented few customer at the warehouse level, and they are working like 240 million rows and more than that. And warehouse does a really great job in bringing out that data, running those ETLs at that level where 30 to 50 million rows are getting updated on day-to-day basis in the facts. So it does a real great job. It's not only that you have to use lake houses, you can also use warehouses. So in a warehouse, administrator have access to the suite of technologies aimed to safeguard the sensitive information. These security measures are capable of securing and masking data from your user or roles without a proper authorization, ensuring the data protection across both warehouse and SQL Analytics endpoint. This ensures smooth and secure experience and with no need or alteration to the existing application. So what are those security things which we are available here? Dynamic data masking is something you can use. Dynamic data masking limits the sensitive data exposed by masking it into the non-privileged user. It helps preventing unauthorized viewing of sensitive data by enabling administrator to specify how much of the sensitive data to reveal. With dynamic data masking, data in the warehouse isn't changed. The data stays the same in the warehouse, but data is masked when returned to the users who queries it. There are 5 masking functions which are available for various categories of sensitive data which you can use. Row level security, so we have the security which is available at the one lake level, semantic model level, and then database itself has all its own row level security which we can use. So RLS is a feature which allows you to control users what can access specific to row of data. Basically, we control every row. So this person can see north, this person can see south. Means at the row level we do the security. This access restrictions is based on the identity of the user executing the query, and if the user isn't permitted to see the rows, they are silently filtered out from the query result when the restricted user queries it, and there is no change in the data warehouse. So basically what happens, if let's say I query this, I may only see the north data. The person second queries it, he sees only south data, but both of us just queried select star from a table. And that is where the row level security, that dynamic row level security comes in place, where you are securing the data and the other are not aware that it is actually being implemented. You go, Tiger.
Yes. Now, as we begin to wrap up, let's talk about exam preparation. And Microsoft Learn provides a structured DP-600 learning path, including hands-on labs and practice assessments. You'll also find an on-demand session that explains what to expect on exam day, including question formats, scoring, and time management tips. And it's enough just to scan these QR codes that you see on screen that will take you to the necessary web sites where you will get the necessary information about exam preparation and exam day. Then okay. Once again, don't forget about the free certification voucher opportunity. If you are planning to take DP-600 or DP-700, this is a great chance to do it at no cost. Once again, it's enough to just scan the QR code that you see on screen. And next slide, please. So what's happening in February? 3 more sessions are happening in February. The next session is just about semantic models in Power BI. That is going to happen on February 18th and 19th, depending on the time zone. So for further preparation, it's highly recommended to register for the events. Just once again, scanning the QR code you see on screen, or just typing the link that you see on screen on any browser. Next one.
Okay, so Fabric Data Days monthly. This is the initiative which is right now running. We are running these on Microsoft Reactor, and every month we have certain set of sessions. So if you are preparing for DP-600 and 700, you can attend these sessions. So next session is going to be on 24th of this month, for which you will be able to get all the details if you scan this links. So we hope to see you joining out there. And not only that, all the sessions which has been done till now, which is actually almost for more than a year, we are doing all these sessions like Learn Together and Fabric Data Days monthly. All these are available on Microsoft Reactor. So if you go to the live session and if you look at the previous session which we have done, you should be able to find those sessions. And some of these are also available as series. So when you look at the playlist, you should be able to get all of that information. Also, other than that, a link has already been shared. What I've done is some of those series and the series from the external users who have created these preparation content, I have also put in my blog, which you can get the link here. And in that one, you will be able to find. And as the new things keep on coming, I'll keep on updating that blog so that you get all the information at one place, and you should be able to prepare for DP-600 exams or DP-700 exam, whichever you are planning for. So we have the Fabric Analyst Day. It's usually a one-day workshop, and we have Fabric Analyst Day, we have Power BI Data Analyst in a day. And if you want to know more about it and how you can join or how you can get it organized for your organization, go to aka.ms next FIAD. And yes, if you are aware, Fabric conference is coming in Atlanta and next month. And if you want to learn from the expert, from the Microsoft team, MVPs, there are more than 200 plus sessions which are going to happen in Fabric, Azure AI, databases, Power BI, and Microsoft Power. Not only this, we have the SQL conference also going it at the same place, and you will get the full advantage of those events, which is FabCon and SQLCon. So if you want to know more about that, scan the QR code or go ahead and type aka.ms/FabCon. And if you use this Fab Live code, you will get $200 discount on this one. There are also some pre-day and post-day events which are happening. If you want to attend those, you will be able to get an opportunity when you go to this link to subscribe for those. So I would like to see in the chat those who are planning to attend FabCon. We will meet there. I am also planning to attend the Fabric conference this year. So we will catch you up there. I will be there in community launch multiple times, and we will meet there. Okay, so I can see there are a lot of questions which has came in, and our moderators have done a great job. And thank you for taking up all those questions, and thanks everyone who has joined this morning or evening or afternoon based on your time, and clarify your doubts. Thanks to the moderators who has try to answer as many of your questions as they can.
Okay, in my turn also, I thank our moderators. They did a great job. I'm also attending a Fabric conference that's going to happen in Atlanta, Georgia in March. I will be also available on Community Lounge. And I hope today's session helped you better understand the Microsoft Fabric data warehouses and how they fit into the DP-600 exam. Good luck with your preparation, and we look forward to seeing you in upcoming Fabric sessions. Have a great day.
Thank you all for joining, and thanks again to our speakers. This session is part of a series. To register for future shows and watch past episodes on demand, you can follow the link on the screen or in the chat. We're always looking to improve our sessions and your experience. If you have any feedback for us, we would love to hear what you have to say. You can find that link on the screen or in the chat. And we'll see you at the next one.